Hey guys, this is Nevin K with Resist Trump campaign, and welcome to the Rise and Resist podcast, the official podcast of the campaign. The campaign's credo is that we coach. What do we do again? We coach activists to lead lawful, nonviolent civil resistance to Trump and his enablers. I am pleased to be joined here by my co-host Matt Kesters, the founder of Fortify Democracy. Matt, how's it going?
Doing well, Nev. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. What's new in the world these days, Matt?
Well, it's been a couple weeks since we've had one of these things, and obviously a lot of stuff has happened. I think the headline is obviously the murder of Alex Pretti in Minnesota by ICE agents, and we all know that immediately after he was killed, the administration attempted to paint him as a domestic terrorist. They blamed him for what happened to him. They accused him of brandishing a weapon, turned out to be a cell phone, even though he was legally and lawfully carrying a weapon, as is his right. We know that weapon was taken from him by an ICE agent before he was shot. They basically emptied magazines into him. And I think what really strikes me about this is that Alex Pretti was doing what I think we all hope that we would do in the situation that he found himself in. He defended somebody who was weaker than him, who was being bullied by evil assholes, and stepped in and tried to defend that person, and he paid for that with his life.
Yeah.
So obviously we could also talk about the fact that Greg Bovino has been ousted from his position with ICE as the Trump administration attempts to do damage control. I think that that's worthy of discussion, but I think the focus should be on Alex Pretti, the life that he lived, the sacrifice that he made,
Yeah.
and what he means to all of us as the resistance continues against this corrupt administration.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about Alex Pretti's, rest in peace, his life, other than he was an ICU nurse, and I think I saw a picture of his floor, or his team at the hospital, commemorating his death. I don't really know a lot about him outside of
Yeah,
that.
he was a nurse with the Veterans Administration. So
Mm.
he took care of veterans that were in acute medical crises.
Wow.
He was a hero,
Yeah.
But I think that we need to talk about what Minnesota at large means, what has happened, and what it means for resistance movements around the country. What
Yeah.
we can take away from that.
I mean, I've seen, to that point, Matt, like the thousands upon thousands. I don't know the number. Maybe it's 50,000 people came out in Minneapolis. And we've talked in a few other spaces about how this could be, an opportunity for the resistance movement to absorb those people into the movement. That's how I'm kind of currently thinking about it: how to equip, activists and organizers personally or through the campaign, into places in the movement. I don't know. What have you observed on that end?
I mean, I think that the best person to talk to would be our guest for today's podcast.
Fair.
So how's that for
Awesome.
a segue?
Pretty good, actually. So yeah, let's bring in our guest in a second. I'm going to introduce you guys to Mike Ignatowski, who is president of a resistance group in Austin known as ResistAustin. ResistAustin has been a leader in Austin with regards to the Tesla takedown campaign that it has implemented, as well as its ICE Out campaign, which it, I think, initiated around September of last year, after Renee Good's killing at the hands of ICE, a weekly protest in Austin, if I understand it correctly, that was around 10 to 15 people at Austin City Hall ballooned into a 500 person protest the Saturday immediately following Ms. Good's death. Uh, Mike has had a storied career in the high technology or high tech sector in research and advanced development. And it is really a pleasure to be speaking to you today, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Nevin. It's great to be here with you folks.
Yeah. So, Mike, it's nice to meet you. I'm thankful to you for what you and people like you do for our country. First, I just wanted to get your general thoughts on what we've seen coming out of Minnesota over the last several days.
You know, in terms of the states that MAGA would demonize, none of us had Minnesota on our bingo cards at the beginning of the year. That took me by big surprise. But it certainly, as Nevin kind of alluded to, has generated a lot of outrage and anger, and in Minnesota in particular, a lot of fear too. And that combination really motivates people. As Nevin said, I expected 20 or 30 people to show up at our last Ice Out protest. And we had 500 plus there. The news, music bands are playing. It was just wild beyond anything we expected. And the outrage has only built since then. So expect the next Saturday protest to be quite well attended also.
How are you? Yeah. How are you absorbing that energy, Mike? How are you thinking about, bringing people in who are willing to show up on a Saturday and for a couple of hours and just kind of be mad with other people?
So in organizing public activities like this, you kind of want to have a way for everyone to feel they can do something they're comfortable with. And that can range from coming together with lots and lots of friends and just holding up a sign and waving at people as they honk. And a lot of people give thumbs up and honk as you go by, to putting people in contact with others and organizing folks who want to do something more. Whether that is an Ice Watch effort or bringing food to people who are afraid to go out of their houses. We want to help people get tuned in and in touch with whatever they feel comfortable doing.
That sounds like a good plan. Good luck with that, Mike, and let us know at the campaign how we can help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously, you saw a lot of unfamiliar faces at the last protest that you were a part of. Did you talk to people about their reasons for showing up? What did you hear from those people, if you did?
A lot of anger and outrage were the dominant things. This happened, right after the first murder of ICE this year, so it was fresh and raw in everyone's mind. And we tried to redirect that into action. We had Congressman Greg Kazar give a wonderful speech to the group, and he talked about ways you can channel that outrage and anger, starting from just contacting your congressman to getting more engaged in groups, making the right donations, getting involved in political activities, promoting your candidates of your choice for the fall election. And my personal feeling is outrage is a great initial motivator, but you need something more than that in the long run. You need some positive vision you're working for. And the Resist Austin, the Resist Trump have this vision of an America free from authoritarian rule. And that is the type of thing we want to channel. Love for a positive vision, love for what America could be again. That's what sustains people in the long run.
What is your vision, Mike? Oh, do you have any thoughts about that?
That is part of it. Boy, there is a short-term vision of getting rid of the people most responsible for what's happening now. And as we pointed out earlier, Greg Bovino has lost his job, and I think Kristi Noem should be next in terms of focus items. I think there was some success, partial early success there. Kristi Noem is the next big hurdle to get over. And then, boy, if we could get major changes to happen in the fall election, that would be great. But in the long term, it is looking for what we want to be as a country. Get rid of what is essentially a fascist movement happening here. And I don't use that term lightly, but I think it's appropriate. There's a writer for The Atlantic called Jonathan Rauch, and he used to be the kind of the adult in the room saying, don't overuse the word fascist. It'll lose its meaning if you apply it when it doesn't apply, and we're at best a semi-fascist state here. And he has come out the last couple of days and said, okay, it's fascism now. I endorse the word. That's what we're facing. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Here we are, fascist America, 2026.
Yep. Okay. So let's reset real quick. So we're going to have to ease back in. One of the things that you said before, Mike, was thinking about the next election. And one of the things that I think is important to not miss in all of this is the letter that Pam Bondi sent to Governor Tim Walz immediately after Alex Pretti had been murdered. In that letter, she demanded, among other things, the state's voter rolls. And that information is obviously not shared with the federal government as a matter of law. But what we saw was the Attorney General basically act as the extortionist in a protection racket.
Yep.
And say, hey, you give us what we want and we'll call off the dogs. The dogs in this case being ICE. So I think that says an awful lot about how important these midterm elections are to this administration. And I wanted to get your take on that as well.
Clearly, historically, the president has always lost seats in a midterm election. This one could be a very substantial loss of seats. He is at a record low approval rating now, and probably sinking even further as the sights and sounds of all the tear gas and flashbang and murders happen in Minnesota. So it's clearly that he's panicking, and things will come home to roost in the second half of his term if he actually loses the House and possibly the Senate. Because just the anger and outrage and the thing the middle of the road people are seeing on TV right now, the smoke wafting over the crowds of tens of thousands of people there, the flashbang grenades going off. People are finally seeing what's happening, and it's changing a lot of the middle voters, and it is very much motivating the Democratic base to get out there. So Trump and his group are worried.
Thankfully, we have Texan Governor Greg Abbott, who I guess authorized the release of our database in Texas to the Trump administration already. Awesome. That's what I heard anyway.
Yep. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's true, but also hearing about a lot of Texas patches on the ICE agents that are in Minnesota, you know? And that goes to a tactic that was employed by the Germans ahead of World War II, using folks from outside of the area being oppressed to ensure that personal relationships didn't get in the way of the actions that those thugs were taking against the citizenry. So yeah, I look at the Bondi letter and I see that as an extortion attempt, and I know that Bovino had initially been defended by Caroline Leavitt, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Trump himself, but now he's fired. Now he's the sacrificial lamb that's being offered up, despite all the comments that the Trump administration had made up until now, saying that, you know, what Bovino had said and what those ICE agents under his control under his command had done was the right thing. So is how are we to view the firing of Greg Bovino? Is this a victory, or is this a distraction, or is it a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B?
How are we to view the firing of Greg Bovino? So I personally see it, and I'd love what Mike thinks about this, as a victory and an opportunity. It is a victory because we took an enabler off the map, right? Our work as a resistance movement took one of the, you know, little pawns in the chess game off the map. And I think that he's been placed in a new chess game, and the resistance to Bovino doesn't have to end. The lawful, nonviolent civil resistance to Bovino doesn't have to end. I mean, how does he just get off the hook, given the crazy shit he's been doing? He's been walking around like a Nazi officer. And so one thing on the campaign level is that we, you know, are looking to recruit organizers in El Centro, California, to start an affiliate of their own and to keep an eye on this dangerous citizen of the United States. That's what I think.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with Nevin. It's a early battle victory. There's a lot more to go, but, you know, this I think the people who pushed back, the people out in the streets, even Governor Walz can claim this as happening because of what they've been doing. And I think it should be used as a inspiration for continuing on, and working at ending the ICE violence. My personal opinion, getting Kristi Noem out next. Although, unless the policy changes, the attitude changes, it won't significantly change things on the ground, but it's the steps in the right direction. I want to see that going forward. And I want to see people held accountable for this at some point.
Accountability is a must. Accountability is an eventuality, provided that there is a check on this administration in Congress beyond 2026, because we know it's not coming from the Supreme Court. My concern, and you can tell me if you think that I'm overthinking this, is that Bovino being ousted might be viewed by many as, you know, hey, we won, and now we don't need to keep showing up. Now we don't need to be out in the streets anymore because we convinced the Trump administration that this is not the way to go, and we're not going to stand for it. And that performative act by them was enough to convince people that victory was, you know, complete. We know for a fact that victory is not complete. We know that resistance needs to continue because those ICE agents, they're not going to leave Minnesota entirely, and they are coming to other places. We know for a fact that they're going to be at the Super Bowl. We know for a fact that we're exporting them to the Olympics. You know, we're exporting our fascism to another country, one that's very familiar with the issue of fascism, considering that's where it was born.
Yeah.
It's just,
Mike, do you mind telling us a little bit about that story that you referenced about them going to the Winter Olympics? What is that story?
So it just came out this morning, but they will be providing security for the vice president and secretary of state there for the U.S. And there are lots of groups in Italy saying America's bringing murderous security forces to Italy, and they want that stopped. They do not want ICE in their country at all. They will provide their own security. So, breaking news. Interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks as the Olympics start. And if the ICE folks do show up in Italy, I am looking forward to see what the local reaction there is. Is it let's export our ICE out protest to Italy too?
There you go.
I would
Yeah,
love
if
to
you're
see
if
that.
you're in Italy and you are not comfortable with ICE showing up on your shores, resisttrump.us, guys. Buongiorno, and we will help you. We'll coach you to do lawful, nonviolent civil resistance. Might need to get an Italian, human rights expert on the line, but we'll help you. We will.
Not a half bad idea,
Yeah.
honestly. The fact that they're bringing ICE agents, it's confusing for one thing, because normally it would just be a Secret Service detail, wouldn't it? Like, that's all it would normally be, and then they would be accompanied by local law enforcement or security forces, and that would be it. But the fact that we don't know do we know how many ICE agents they're saying they're going to be bringing with them?
No, we don't.
Okay, so if it's a dozen or 1,000, it doesn't matter, because they don't belong on Italian soil as part of a security detail for an American official. That's just not their job. Their job is supposed to be Customs and Border Patrol, right?
They're part of the Department of Homeland Security. Are they just getting a vacation? Is that what's happening here?
It might be a junket. Or maybe they're trying to go... a junket is basically a wasteful trip.
Okay.
It's a vacation on the government dime. But maybe they want to go shopping for clothes and they're going straight to Hugo Boss. I don't know. Like, that seems possible, I guess.
Yeah.
Given the now former ICE director's fashion sense,
which is wild and unforgettable.
Yeah.
So okay, so we had lots of work to be done, not just in Minneapolis, but in El Centro and Italy too, for you resistors out there. I want to ask Mike one last thing, if it's okay, Matt. In organizing, I've learned, and probably could do much better, Mike, on the celebration aspect of the work. Right, when stuff like Bovino, news like the news about Bovino happens, you want to celebrate the moment in some way, shape, or form. Have you thought about that with your group in Austin? And if so, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
That's a really good point. The examples of celebrating and avoiding burnout, trying to make this fun, is the reggae music we often play at these protests. and in some cases, bubbles. And the last one, there was 500 people plus 2 Pikachu costumes showing up. And we'll probably have a brightly colored unicorn blow up out of it. But I think you're absolutely right, Nevin. We need to celebrate, put some optimism in this, and some joy and camaraderie. Make them feel part of something big. Make them feel they have, friends there. They're part of a group. They're part of a successful operation.
Yeah.
That's key to keep them going in the long run. And before I leave, I just want to say something else that keeps me going in the long run. We talked about fascism before. I had 4 uncles who fought in World War II against fascists. And someone occasionally asks me, aren't you a little bit afraid and concerned about what you're doing now and getting involved in? And I point to my 4 uncles and say, they did a lot more courageous things than I'm ever going to be doing here. It's time for me to do my part, whatever that part is.
I really, really respect that, Mike, and it's always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show today, and good luck with your next action this Saturday on the Ice Out campaign that you guys are running in Austin.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nevin. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. What'd you think, Matt?
Well, I think that he's obviously right. We do need to find, joy in the victories, but we also need to stay vigilant. And we also need to, as long as there's still a fascist in charge of this country, we are still in the fight, whether we want to be or not. And what Mike said about his uncles resonates with me. My grandfather fought in the Pacific Theater during World War II. The Japanese Empire at that time wasn't what we would consider, the Italian or Western European version of fascism, but it was certainly something akin to fascism. And I've said this before, but I still think it's true that I don't know exactly how to define fascism, but it's a lot like vulgarity. I know it when I see it, you know? And that's what my grandfather fought for. And, he was a radio man on a B-24 during Guadalcanal. So he was flying around in an airplane that didn't have any, pressurization. It was, super cold despite it being warm on the hot as hell on the ground, actually. Pretty dangerous job. Yeah. And I think about the things that I'm doing right now, and I have been afraid. I've been afraid of putting my name out there. I've been afraid of putting my face out there and attaching it to an anti-fascist message, but thinking about Mike's uncles, thinking about my grandfather, that is something that is, a source of courage. It's a sense of duty. And we need to think about what it means to be an American during a time like this. What is it to be an American? What do we stand for? Is it really truth and justice? Or is that the American way? Or is it might makes right?
Well, Stephen Miller would say it's might makes right. I know that for a fact.
Absolutely he would. And my response to Stephen Miller is that he's an un-American piece of shit.
Ditto.
Full stop. Full stop.
Ditto.
Nazi asshole. So, look, we know where his inspiration comes from. Where does our inspiration come from? And it is those soldiers that sacrificed everything in World War II. It is all those, you saw the Antifa memes going back, like, here's some Antifa folks, and it's pictures of, American soldiers at Bastogne, or
fucking Alex Pretti, dude. He's Antifa, you stupid shits.
Alex Pretti is absolutely Antifa. Alex Pretti is a hero.
Yeah.
Alex Pretti is the example that we can all look to, because he didn't have to stand in. He didn't have to step up. He didn't have to get between ICE and the woman that they were bullying, harassing and spraying with pepper spray for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
He stepped in with a camera, which is, by the way, the best weapon that any protester can carry with them.
I agree.
Because the one thing that they don't want is documentation of their bad acts. We know that for sure. Because they have tried to control the message. They've tried to control the narrative at every turn. And the narrative that they try to spin, it falls apart within minutes when the actual footage gets into the hands of the people.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like, when Renee Good got murdered? we had them saying that she tried to run over an ICE agent, that she deserved to have, her head blown off. And, then we get the footage of what actually happened, and it's nothing like what they said it was. The one thing that we can trust for sure with this administration is that they will lie to us. They will do the wrong thing, and they are not to be believed at any point. And until they're out of power, they must be resisted at every turn.
Agreed.
What about you? What do you think?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, ditto. I think you said it.
Well, we have to express our gratitude to the people of Minneapolis, to the people of Minnesota, for what they have done, what they have endured, really for all of us, because this could have happened anywhere, but it happened to them. And they were the ones that stepped up, and they are inspiration for resistance all over the country. And I feel myself getting a little.
I mean, it's okay.
Don't read into it too much. I cry for certain commercials if they.
Which ones?
So
just joking.
It's been a while. I saw an episode of Queer Eye last night that had my eyes just flowing. But but yeah, it's important to think about how we frame the national debate. This isn't left versus right. It's democracy versus authoritarianism. This is fascism come to our shores. And I'm about making sure that people have the best means possible to vote, but we have to work within the system that we have right now. And the one thing I know for sure is, if there are ICE agents on the streets trying to prevent or trying to intimidate us from going to the polls, that just tells you that it's all the more important to get there. We have to vote.
Yeah.
But between now and then, we have to resist in every other way that we have at our disposal.
I agree. Well, with that, folks, I think we're going to kind of wrap a little bit of this conversation. I want to refer you guys to Mike's organization, ResistAustin, at resistaustin.us. Check them out. They're doing really important work in the Austin political resistance community. Also, please check out fortifydemocracy.com, which is Matt's nonprofit, which is aimed at reforming our broken democracy. And please don't forget to visit resisttrump.us, where we have a number of activities to help you lead lawful, nonviolent civil resistance to Trump and his enablers. This podcast is a podcast of the Resist Trump campaign, which is a program of a nonprofit corporation, Human Liberty Project, which runs on donations and volunteer time. If you want to volunteer or donate something, please do so at resisttrump.us. We will use that resource extremely carefully and extremely strategically, and I think we'll make you proud. So thanks again, audience, for coming. We want to thank again, Mike and Mike for coming. Thank you, Matt, for co-hosting this with me today. And
my pleasure as always.
We'll see you next time, guys. Stay in the fight. Keep it up. You're doing great.